Hi, everyone. Welcome to the EO Wonder podcast. Today, I have the most wonderful guest, a very dear friend who I've known probably over 2 decades when she had her first company, Yogitoes, and now is the founder of a new company called SWAND. Welcome to the EO Wonder podcast, Susan.
Oh, Kalika, it's so good to be here and be present with you. I mean, you're amazing. You're just this joy of light, always, every
Oh.
time I see you.
And Susan just flew in from Portugal.
From Portugal, yes, I did.
How
Yeah.
was your flight here?
My flight was great. I'm just going to do a little soundbite tap. Portugal is now flying direct from Lisbon to Los Angeles. So it's incredible to fly direct. It was super easy. I love TAP. Highly recommended.
But you're here because you're doing some filming.
I'm doing filming. We're doing editorial meetings as well as social content with my team that's based in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's based in Europe. So it's been a journey.
But I wanted to go back to when we first met and you
Mhm.
had your first company, Yogitoes. Tell us about your journey from before Yogitoes and how you started Yogitoes and what Yogitoes is.
Yogitoes started when I was practicing yoga in New York City and I slipped on my yoga mat. Then I was the creative director of a toy company. And I went online and I went to find a yoga towel for my mat, and there wasn't one. So I had that aha moment, I'm going to design a yoga towel to complete my mat so I don't slip. That's where it was birthed. And then the journey began post leaving as a creative director and with my toy company. And I started on this really incredible unknown path of how it unfolded, how it manifested. And the irony is, I slipped on a Manduka mat, and full circle, we ended up being paired together as a private equity firm who, made the acquisition of both of the companies, bringing us together. So, yes,
Yeah, Manduka bought your company.
yes, we were both bought by a private equity firm that then paired us together. So Yogi Toes lives on with Manduka and under their house brand.
And it's patented.
It's patented. Yes, we had 4 patents on it. I created 4 patents. So international patents as well as 4 US patents. So altogether we had 7 patents.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you introduced me to Jim Broder, your patent attorney,
Yes.
who helped me with LuxLink.
Yes,
Do you remember
exactly.
that?
I remember that. I remember when you came up with the concept and then you're like, I want to do this. I'm like, you need to talk to Jim.
And it went through.
It went through, and yes, I loved my Lux. I still have it.
Oh, so great.
I know. What year was that? What decade was that?
2006, no, I think 2006 was when I came up with the concept, and then I got my patent in 2010. But how about you?
Okay. For me, I came up with the concept 2000, and then I actually initiated it in 2003. And I had a different experience with my patent. It literally came through within the year.
Wow. I remember Jim telling me, like, Susan is going to patent a towel. And then he was just like, but she's the one that's going to do it. And he was just saying, like, she's going to do it.
Oh, so it's interesting because at the time when I was looking for a patent attorney, I was living in New York and I came to Los Angeles. So I had basically taken, meetings with all these firms that wanted a huge exorbitant amount of money to do the patent. And I just didn't have that then. So I actually was turned on to where Jim was working at this firm, and he sat at the table, and he, amongst all these other lawyers, heard my pitch. And as I left, he came out and he said to me, I think it's a great idea. I think it's brilliant. And, I'm leaving the firm and I'm going out on my own. So if you ever need anything, call me. And with that, I left the firm and I was thinking, what can I do? Because I don't have, the funds to actually patent it. So I went to Barnes and Noble and I looked in the NOLA section, how to write a patent in 24 hours or patent provision. So I had absolutely no money that I took that book home. I I read it. I wrote a patent provision with overnight, and I returned the book less than 24 hours. And I emailed Jim and I said, Jim, I wrote the patent provisional like just to set a date. So I will file it with the United States government, just to get the filing date. And then when I get the funds, I want you to write the patent. And then that was another miracle, how the money came literally in the mail 2 weeks later. Yes, I got a check out of the blue from another that was enough to hire Jim to start writing the patent.
Wow.
So
Jim is
that,
amazing, by the way.
yeah, Jim is so great. And literally, yes, he was my patent on SWAND. We have our patents on that as well.
And I've also recommended him to other entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
and he's been so successful. So if anyone needs a international patent attorney,
Jim Broder.
Jim Broder,
Jim
Broder,
Broder, hands down.
Yeah,
We love
amazing.
Jim.
Yeah, I mean, so
Before you continue the next question, can you just move the mic a little further away from you? There you go.
is it better?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it like screechy?
No, I think you're like past the microphone. It's like aiming at your throat.
Oh, okay, okay. All right, good. Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Is my squeaky?
No, you're good.
Am I? Just let me be online. Just you guys go. You're off track. You're off track. Just like
Just do
wrangle
it.
back.
Yeah. And I met you because we were at 1516 16th Street, right? In
Mhm.
Santa Monica. I moved at the top floor. You were in the bottom floor.
Citrus.
Citrus
the orange,
Studios.
yes.
And I think I was like 8 months pregnant, I think I remember.
You were. You were.
So
And we had just moved into that office from our other office. And yeah, it was instantaneously when we met. So sharing that building and then working together, collaborating together. You then were doing websites. And so you took over Yogito's website. It was a really super fun time. It was special.
And do you remember Michael Dubin, who is the founder of
Yeah.
Dollar Shave Club?
Yes.
He was also one of my employees back then. Remember?
Wow.
Like,
I didn't know that. I
yeah,
didn't know
yeah,
he
he
went
was
up
one
on.
of our digital marketing specialists. And then he started Dollar Shave Club. We helped him with his brand. And isn't it interesting?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is how
yeah.
everything births out of, the field
But I'd also
surroundings.
love for you to share like what it was like because now yoga is everywhere. But back then in 2000, I think I remember everyone still having that weird blue yoga mat that everyone had. Like it was not a thing. Like yoga was not a thing back then.
No, it wasn't. It was actually well, I've been a practitioner now almost 30 years. And then I was very heavy into Ashtanga, and it was very straightforward. And it was just at that precipice of really going to birth and do the 7-year cycle to where it became ubiquitous. It at that time, that's why there wasn't really it was just the common mat, it was the miso rugs, people had beach towels on their mats, and so I just had that I saw the opportunity, and I I thought, "You know what? I am gonna design a towel for your mat." And it was really and then I wanted it to be sustainable, and at the time, working in the toy industry, it's not so sustainable and I've always been very mindful of where, what product do you design? Where does it end up? And so I made the towel with recycled water bottles, which was, it was partly made with the nylon, the polyester, the blend of microfiber. How I got there was a really interesting journey, though. It was not an overnight for sure. It was, it's not like, okay, I'm just going to go to this factory and they're going to create it. You think it'd be so easy, but it wasn't at that time so easy. And we didn't have what we have now access to, which is AI back then.
Right. You didn't have AI to write your
No,
patent.
nothing. I didn't have no, it was literally just roll up your sleeves and do it,
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was a great journey, but you don't know better anyway. You don't question it because you're just like, I love it. I want to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what kept me going. And the obstacles that came in, like for example, I was designing it and I took the prototypes. So I literally got textiles and then I was doing safety pins, I was doing straps. How is it going to be really one that's tactile to the mat? And so when I found at Union Square at Petco a dog water bowl, the bottom, there's the nubs. I went, oh, there you go. I'm going to put nubs on the microfiber, and I wanted silicone nubs. I didn't want the PVC. And so to find a factory to do this and put it together hadn't been done. And I started on my journey of that with the prototype, sent it off to my connections from the toy industry, and they could not return what I needed. It looked like cheesecloth and glue dots. And I relocated to Los Angeles and I was practicing yoga at Yoga Works with Chuck Miller. And I had gotten my final sample back from a Chinese factory, from the toy industry. And I'm like, oh my goodness, look. I'm like, look, they can't make my product. And Chuck, my yoga teacher, I just adore him to date. He said to me, he's like, Susan, we tried manufacturing. It's so hard. You just don't want to go there, you know? And I'm like, okay, that's your experience. And you heard that a lot. Those are people's experience. My experience is going to be different.
That's right.
So that's at that time, that opportunity. And I literally went to my car outside of after my yoga practice. I literally cried, like, oh my God. And I said to the universe, please help me, because I'm going to toss in the towel, no pun intended, if I can't get this made. That afternoon, well, first of all, before that, the phone call rang, or my phone rang, and a friend said, found a place for you to move full time in LA. And you have to go over there now and sign the lease. And I said, okay. And I went over, it was in Santa Monica. I signed the lease and I said, but I don't have anything yet. I have to bring, from New York. And he's like, oh, just go to the 99-cent only store and get your paper, whatever, and your cutlery or whatever you need to until you get everything moved. And I said, okay. So I went there and I'm standing in line with my paper goods and my paper forks and everything that was sustainable that I could get out of there. And in line, I'm looking at a camera. I'm like, wow, 99-cent only. This is crazy. And the guy behind me says, stranger says to me, are you an inventor? And I said, are you a psychic? He said, no, but I'm a manufacturer. I have a factory in Korea. I go, what do you manufacture? And he says, microfiber. I said, microfiber what? He says, towels to, bathing suits. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, here's my card. He goes, I have a prototype. He goes, I'm leaving for Korea tomorrow evening. Do you want to meet me and hand off the prototype? I'm like, will you sign an NDA? He said, absolutely. So that's what I did. Literally, it happened like that so fast. And the next morning, I ended up meeting him at a very obscure place. It was Coffee Bean, because his son would open it, and he would work on Asian time, so he'd work there. And he took it to Korea. He took it to Mr. J. Kim, who I adore to date, and handed him the prototype. And I got an email instantly. And he said, hello, I'm Mr. J. Kim. I love your prototype. And da 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 da. And what do you need? The colors, et cetera, and we'll have it to you as soon as possible. It arrived back to me on my doorstep 2 weeks later.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
I mean, just like that. And he even said later in the years, he's like, Susan, I just knew when I held this towel that I was called to help you. I mean, it was a huge company, huge, like he was huge. And that's how the energy works, and I say the universe. And so Yogitoes was very divinely orchestrated and being open. And I also owe my yoga practice to that.
Yeah.
Of being open and being connected and being led.
Well, not only that, so you had the towel, but also beyond that, you had the chakra colors, you had the dot.
I did. So in regards to designing it, I chose one color to start with, and I chose blue, which is the throat chakra, and it's a freedom of speech and your sovereignty. And then the orange dot, which was our logo, was actually designed to be a dristi on the top of your towel. and orange for the second chakra of creativity and your power. And it was, it sold for 2 years before anyone asked for colors. And as people started asking for colors, I'd ask my customers, well, what are you feeling? Oh, I want this color, that color. And then I thought, oh, you know what? The chakra colors. And so we did the 7 chakra colors, and then that carried on. And then just really organically listening to your customer and the needs. And by then, we went global pretty fast. And I owe it to Lululemon, because the first year I launched, within 6 months, I had walked into Lululemon. They had opened up their flagship store in Santa Monica, and I gave them this towel. And the manager loved it. She's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And she sent it to Vancouver. Next thing I know, I get the call from Vancouver. You want to come up to Vancouver? We already had, like, the patents were already in process. So, went to Vancouver, and they said, we just love this and we want to carry you. And usually the only other brand they carried outside of Lululemon was Nike in their bags. And they were doing their own mats and they were doing their clothes. And they said that we'd like to do Yogitoes. And so we lived with Lululemon until, let's see, 5 years into it. They wanted to have their own, Lululemon. I said, why don't we do a co-partnership? It's Yogitoes for Lululemon. And they loved that idea, and they allowed. So we had our whole journey as being a collaboration, of working together. And that's how I believe that, and where Yogi Toes landed in the studios, became viral. Never did marketing in all the years that I had my company. The last, right before the sell, which we were positioning to sell, I wanted to do a call out to Yoga Journal, and I wanted to do a collaboration with all the teachers that have supported us over the years. And we did a wonderful spread about sustainability, and with the teachers and with the organizations that we supported for no single-use plastic, and aligned with many amazing for clean oceans, really.
I also remember on your website, what most people would say press, you had the word awareness.
I did. I did. And our press didn't work with a press agent. It came to us. And also, just another example, I was in my practicing with Chuck in class, and there's this wonderful Japanese woman, and she's just she's like, every day she would see me with a different color with, with Yogi Toes, and Yogi Toes was in Fred Siegel then. And she thought, she thought I was just, she didn't realize that I was the founder and I designed it. So one day after press, she goes, I just noticed you have so many, colors. I said, oh, well, I'm the founder. Oh my God, I thought you were just this rich white girl. I got to buy every color. I'm the founder. It was so cute. And she's a writer. She's a freelance writer for Japan. So she's the one who brought it to Japan.
Is
And
it Izuki? Yes. I know Izuki too. So and I think you introduced me to her.
oh, maybe I
But
did.
yeah, yeah,
Maybe,
yeah, yeah.
maybe I did. Yeah, and she was so. I mean, she was writing it before she even knew me. She was like, I've been practicing, next to you the whole time. I'm like, you're the one who got into Vogue and you got into Japan. I'm like, so thank you so much. I'm so grateful. And then, we became, fast friends.
Yeah. I also remember too, like in the very, very beginning, like you said you didn't have a press agent and you would actually just call, just like how you just went into Lululemon, like I'm just gonna call these people and they would always feature you.
Yeah. I, th- I, I still kind of feel like I love that. That's why I'm here and going. I like to meet people. I like that connection. First, of course, email. I've emailed them, but I have done the moments of calling. So I did, yes, when I was in New York, I made some calls at the very beginning. I even called Nike actually, because I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sell this concept to Nike. And I called them. I reached out to them, and they said, "Oh, we don't take outside designers." And I said, "Okay." And then that's when I actually thought, "Okay." I got the message on my mat. You've got to do this yourself. You have to do this yourself. And it's interesting. It was a full circle because in the end, they were interested in buying Yogitoes
At the
to
end,
then
yeah,
at the end.
yeah.
And it was just a different landscape. I had an amazing team, and I felt for Yogitoes, I wanted my team to live on. I wanted my factory in Korea to live on. And when you enter into that realm and that size, they have all their 21 factories, and it would have become a Nike. They're just basically buying the assets, and they would have wiped out Yogitoes. And so I wanted to keep all the integrity there. It was for me, I was ready to sell. I wanted to move forward and move on to another project. And yes, so that was my full circle with Nike. I
Wow.
mean,
I also want to talk to you a little bit about Yogi Toes, the name.
okay.
How did you come up with that name?
I came up with that name. I was on my mat. And again, good as Chuck Miller. He walked by and I was in boat pose, which is the pose that your feet are in the air, your hands are in the air, and you're in a V shape, asana. And he's like, Susan, spread your toes, happy toes. And then all of a sudden in my head, Yogi Toes popped up.
Yeah. And that was it.
And that was it. And it wasn't taken. The branding wasn't taken. The name mark. Yeah. So yeah, I went online and
Such a fun
okay.
name.
It's really fun. It was happy. And that's what I wanted to bring into to yoga. It doesn't matter how far you can stretch or whatever. You just want the joy. The joy actually I got the first time I started yoga. I stepped on my mat and my teacher then, Steve Ross, I don't know if you ever knew him. He had Maha Yoga
Mhm.
in Brentwood. And when I stepped onto my mat then, all it was about was joy and happiness. Doesn't matter what it looks like.
Yeah.
So I carried that on through, and I wanted Yogi Toes, the skipless towel, to bring that joy
Yeah.
and yeah, on your mat.
So I was in the Philippines,
Hmm.
and I don't know which beautiful store I was in, and then I saw your product there, and I'm just like, yes, Susan, like Susan is so great. I think I took a photo of it and like sent it to you. I'm like,
You
here I
did,
am
yeah.
in like BCG or wherever I was, and I think at that time it was paired with Manduka, and but I'm like, here you are. I'm just like, and how far you've gone. Like, I'm just so proud of you. Like, it's
Thank you so
amazing.
much.
Yeah.
It was such an amazing journey. I mean, I had a friend who was up in Esalen recently, and she's like, "Look,"
Mhm.
and she's like, "I haven't seen that pattern."
Yeah.
It's just a joy to see it live on.
Yeah.
It's really a joy. And I'll go in a yoga room. I was in Lisbon 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, "My God!" I'm like, "You have an original vintage." She's like, "Well, how do you know?" I go, I invented it. And she's like, what? Oh my God. And I'm like,
Yeah.
keep that. It's just, that color's not made anymore. And it was really one of the first one with the first woven tag in it. It was,
Oh,
yeah.
so
But
sweet.
it lasts. She goes, it's lasted forever. I'm like, yeah, it made to last.
Yeah,
That was
so,
the
so
purpose. I
good.
didn't want it to end up in a landfill, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it was so helpful for all the men too because they sweat so much as well, and so, like, having the towel just helps them continue their journey on the
It's
mat.
true, it's true,
Yeah.
and some of them, it's interesting, they'll turn it over and they'll use the grips for their hands and feet as opposed to the mat. I designed it so the little nubs would actually lie on the mat, grip, and also show, it was a teaching tool as well, because if you don't lift your leg properly and you drag it, your towel can move. There was, like, these added nuances that we used to speak about and teachers would speak about. So that really, basically, it's hard to do yoga without sweating.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and at that time, when I was doing yoga, I was in New York City. I was in an apartment. I was doing laundry once a week, and I was practicing 6 days a week. So I wanted to make sure that it's something that could go in a washing machine, be very easy and utilitarian, and then you can hang it and dry, or you could throw it in the dryer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just such a perfect one product company.
Yes.
And you have another one product company. Let's talk
Yes.
about SWAND.
We have SWAND. So SWAND came from my need as well. I've been a huge candle connoisseur, burning candles since I've been practicing yoga. the moment I was able to leave my house. Because it's funny, I grew up in a household that the only time you could burn a candle is at your birthday candles, or at Christmas. Had very, fire hazards was my mom's main concern. Oh, bless her. So I just always loved candles. So when I left my home, it was always something of the environment, the connection. Wherever I moved, you can always light a candle, and it just changes your whole space.
Yes.
And with that, over the years, the three tools that I would tuck away in the kitchen drawer. And this actually product was birthed out of crowdsourcing when I was originally at Virginia Tech, when I was doing leadership in entrepreneurialism, and with this class, that I wanted a beautiful lighter and I wanted a candle care tool all in one. So with that, and that's the journey began, and the lighter just we kept hitting walls, and the tool lived inside the lighter originally, not this tool. And then I took a pause. There was a lot of pauses, a lot of life things happening. And when I relocated to Portugal, I brought this back out, and I was talking to my niece who's an entrepreneur, and just conversing with her, I had this aha moment. It's like everyone has their lighters, and the intention there was really to stop single-use lighters, and USB lighting
Right.
company came out. I'm like, they've got it down. I don't need to try to reinvent that. What hasn't been done and what is really my purpose. I use matchsticks anyway. I I want the tool, and I just came up, I'm like, I'm just going to do the tool that it's had four actions. And the way this happened and the design of it was really interesting because I wanted it to be feminine. I wanted to, I wanted to look really beautiful and you just lay it around on your coffee table next to your candle. And I wanted one for all my candles in all my rooms. So with that, I had a wonderful product designer who did the CADs. I had another colleague who we were this trio of bringing in, so Margot and Michelle, we're bringing in like, how can it look? And Swan was birthed from that. So out of that, the design, looking at it, I'm like, it looks like a swan, but it's also a wand, candle tool. And S could be the super wand, swand. It has many meanings in there. And the great thing was the moment I landed on swand, my my niece is like, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" And she does the what is it? The check where it checks all the
Domain names.
domain
Mhm,
names.
mhm,
Checker, I think
mhm,
it is.
mhm,
Checker was
mhm.
they're so around, and she's like, "Oh my God, Swan is available!" I'm like, "Oh my God, I gotta get it now!"
Yeah,
Doot, doot, doot,
yeah,
doot, doot. And that's how Swan happened. And again, similarities as Yogito's journey, except not as fast.
yeah, yeah.
Not as fast this time. And there's been a lot of rich stops, pauses, and rethink, or let's pivot because of it. You had COVID, you have this, you have that. And I actually tried producing it first in Portugal, and they gave up after 8 months. Can't do it. Too hard. It looks so simple. You want
Yeah.
to see?
Yeah, yeah. Let's look at it. Beautiful. Looks like a spoon too. You want to
Yes.
show us how to use it? Maybe just walk us through it. So we have a candle here and the
So
swan.
this is the 4-in-1 candle care tool. Our dome snuffer, which is the bottom. We also have the tip of the spoon, which is a smokeless snuff. That's when you take the burning wick and you put it into the pool of wax, and there's no emissions. It's a smoke-free snuff, and then you lift it back up with the tip of the spoon to straighten the wick. Then you have the trimmer, which is Not a classic trimmer like scissors. There's no blades. It's very safe, child-proof, and dog-proof if your dog gets it. My dog actually got it. And what you do, the way this trimmer works is you take the wick. Let's see, make sure I have my glasses. And you twist it like this so the wick comes off very easily. It pulls the wick, and usually you don't get that much wax, but now it's at its size. So it literally does on every wick. First of all, just to understand that every candle brand uses different size wicks. There's not a universal one. So we tested over 100 brands and literally tried to come up with a universal size of dimension, which was very interesting process because we didn't want to use regular scissors. We wanted it to be really easy. There's another version. If we light this candle, I'll show you. We'll let it pool for a while.
I have a matchstick.
Yay, thank you. So, for example, the trimmer, sometimes if you find a bloom, have you ever seen when you burn a candle and there's this infusion and all of a sudden it kind of, the mushroom happens?
Yes,
Because
it's
the wick is fraying, it's splitting. So, and you want the candle to continue to burn, you could actually slide off, you take the V trimmer and you slide the mushroom off and the flame still goes.
It's amazing.
So there's a little, there's lots of fun stuff with this little magic wand.
Nice.
I'll show you. What we have is we have the classic burnt wick trimmer. Always on your first burn, you need to use the common scissors in your house to shorten it. And some actually candle companies trim it for you. There's some brands that will already trim it the size to start and light. And you'll find that directions on the back of the box. And the other part of whatever candle brand that you buy, they actually put the maximum hours that your candle can burn. So part of the SWAND and the intention was, I want maximum burns. I mean, candles are expensive and you want to care for it.
Yeah.
And this was just, there's so many layers to SWAND. It's caring for your candle, taking a pause, intentional living. I mean, literally, I light a candle when I wake up before I meditate, and I like to say a prayer and infuse the intention. And then when I put it out, there's another ending of then starting your day, but you're in the present moment, and more as we're evolving, we don't take those present moments with ourselves. So connecting with your light is connecting with your light within. You're caring for your candle. You're getting the maximum hours of your burn. And you're also, with SWAND, we're aligned with Women for Women International, which is an organization that is on the ground working and supporting women who have been impacted by war. So we are in 10 countries now. And which is just really close to my heart to align SWAND with being more than just a tool. There's magic in it too. There's a lot of magic in it, and there's a lot of energy in this little wand. So it's pulling, but that's really not, you see right now, you see the pool of wax? We need to burn a few more, a little longer.
We'll let it burn, and then maybe we can show the. But I think what's great is that Yogitoes was a one product company, and now SWAND is a one product company. Why did you choose a one product company?
Great question. I live a very minimalistic life, and I feel whatever I put into the world, I don't want to repeat and put a new brand name on it. I like to design from innovation, and that comes from my era of being at a licensing company, being a creative director. They would give the license and they're like, okay, create product. And you're trying to think, well, what's original? What can we create that? And it was a really hard space, but it was a challenging space that inspired me. And then for me, and just the way I look at the world, I'm like, oh, I really need that. and I would like to look like that. So I could look at that stool very differently and go, well, it's just, I guess, the designer eye and the innovator inside of me, and so I want to, first of all, design for my own need and hopefully other needs. And usually you find out it's a universal need. Like when I designed the yoga towel, it's, you don't really get the mirrored back until you're kind of like, oh, I kind of designed this yoga towel. And I'm not sure if anyone's going to like it or not, but I really need it and I like it. And then you just hear, oh, I wanted to do something like that, etc. And the only difference is I persevered. And that's with entrepreneurship. You just go for it, even though. So going back to SWAND and one product, same thing. I need this candle care tool for me, and I want it to be simple. I want it to be sustainable. That's upcycled stainless steel, hand cast, 4-stage process, a wonderful factory. We're aligned with the same ethos, sustainability, FSC certified packaging. And then people are like, oh, you're going to do a candle line? And I'm like, are you kidding? No, there are a gazillion beautiful candle brands out there. Swan is just a pair to help with that candle and partner up with that candle.
Just like
So
Yogitoes was with the yoga
just
mat.
like Yogitoes, and Yogitoes was amazing. I mean, leading that and leading it global and into 53 countries and with colors and working in partnerships and collaborations was incredible. And it lives on. And with Swan, the same. I just want to do collaborations with candle brands, and we're super excited. We received the US patent, and now we have the EU patent. So it's the journey, and Jim did them.
Yes, it's so great.
He's so great.
Yeah.
So I like to focus and go deep and let it expand and take roots and do what, focus on one and do it the best I can.
Yeah.
And we have a version coming up in next year, which is just a little more edge of the spoon. And there's a lot of play within this tool to do variations. So we have those coming up.
And colors later, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. For sure, colors. In fact, we're really excited. We just got into this San Francisco MoMA, and already they go, okay, we want some colors.
Right.
And I said, we've got them. So we just proposed some colors, and they just checked them off. They love them. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And there's so much. I don't want to produce a product that's just going to go to waste.
Right.
Or laying around.
Right.
And I want it to last. This is really, it can be an heirloom. It can go on, you can pass it down. Or if you're done with it, it actually can be recycled. It can be upcycled. And we have on the website, I believe, where you can upcycle. It's called dirty metal. So actually dirty metals can be upcycled and put back into the circle of life, which is great because stainless steel is one of the most sustainable metals to work with.
Yeah. And your intuition has served you well.
Yes.
In both of your journeys and in life. Talk
Yeah.
a little bit about how you tap into your intuition.
So, it comes in various ways. It'll come from on my yoga mat to in the shower. You get those inklings. Or somebody says something and it triggers, and then, or what I love to do, if there's a real block, an obstacle that's happening with me, I usually just give it up and I ask the universe, which I say universe is your greatest app. And it's so true. And now what I love, it's in social, you see Gabrielle talking about it. You see so many mentors leading with that. And it's just keeping your clear channel connected. And that's something for me. It just soul aligned heart. And there's that yes. And then there's that when you ask your intuition and there's a block, and then you're like, okay. And then you get the sign and you say, just show me. Universe, just show me. And you'll get a clear no. So that's how I really, it's basically talking to the universe, talking to myself.
Yeah. And actually listen to yourself, because what if you
Yes.
listen to Chuck?
Yes.
He said
Yeah.
there would be no Yogitoes.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. And also the form of framing and languaging, and we all have our own experience. And that's another block of when you hear, it's like, go back to you. You're the source. Go back and say, okay, that is an experience. And you hear a lot of experiences. And especially now with what's going on with AI and everything, it's almost, I feel it's an amazing, fascinating, you know, tool and evolution that we're in right now. And also how to integrate that with your intuition.
Yes. Yes.
How do you keep that in your practice and root it? I like to call myself a planetarian, where I'm really about the earth. I'm really about Mother Nature. And I love technology. I'm an Aquarius. I just
Mm.
love
Me
tech. So,
too.
and how, right? How
Mhm.
do you actually merge these together? And that's where I love leaning into you because you're right there in leadership of that.
It's interesting. I was talking to one of my mindfulness facilitators. I'm the founding chair of the Harvard Westlake Mindfulness Club. And he was sharing about how one of his mentors, Diane Winston from UCLA,
Yeah.
has someone, yeah, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
who basically said she found her guru in AI. And now she has gone down this loop of just like AI is now my guru. And then back to what you were saying about like the fact that she can't even tell the difference between a machine talking to you and your intuition is really scary because this is what's going to happen to people.
Yeah.
And they're going to convince other people that these machines are the ones that you should be listening to rather than your deepest inklings, your deepest intuition.
Yeah, it's our whole it's our source. It's our soul. We're we're now just giving over our power
Right. Yeah.
to something that's greater. I know. And we can go down that path of conversation
Yeah.
of that. And it's more about, but we're here in this body
Right.
for a very short time. So how, if we go to the table, and I use AI, I do. I
Hmm.
do it because I can just load down
Hmm.
my
Right.
mind and go, just help me, the bullet points really quickly. And I love that for that. But I'm also bringing it to the table. And I just feel like now this is myself, n- staying connected with my soul, my spirit. And it's also my belief. My belief is I'm from being a Buddhist to being a yoga practitioner in Hindi to other forms of religion. Like I was raised as a Catholic. I lived in a convent in my early 20s, but that was because my aunt was a nun, and I had a wonderful environment of 2 years to really understand. And I was Buddhist then, so we would go back and forth about conversation. And it's really, religions. We're all going to the same destination in the end. It's what's the path that's chosen. And now with religion, and then here's AI, and I'm almost seeing this in a strange way. It's just like this, it's like this institution
Right. Yeah.
that we're all falling for.
Right. And what's crazy is that people are putting human attributes onto a machine when it is not a machine. So when they actually use the word hallucination, that's something that happens to humans. You shouldn't use that term. You should use the term programming error instead of hallucination. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect
Right?
sense.
Right? Yeah.
There's such a whole language which
Right.
isn't out there. That's really, it's like, how do you structure it? I mean, it's funny. I was talking to a dear friend who uses it, and she's quite known in astrology, and she also works in the PSI. She's on the board and all this of training of investigations who use their intuition and their psyche, to go in with these incredible how they find like from AFI, FBI's to crimes, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, it's really interesting because I was playing with AI,
Mhm.
and there's so much that AI cannot do, but it's trying to mimic,
Right. Like a parrot.
like a parrot,
Mhm.
trying to mimic this. So where's our responsibility? I mean, for you and your daughters, what's the responsibility of how to raise them?
Right.
How do they utilize them? How, utilize the tool? How are they looking at it? I always love to ask views of the generation that, I mean, they're the younger ones that are even, they're born in AI now, and where is it going? I mean, it's like it's a, it's a very fascinating time.
My daughter was
It's
sharing how her ex-boyfriend tried to apologize to her and he used AI. And I was so sad, because it was so obvious that he was trying to apologize and he couldn't have
come with the
come with the
words.
words. But it was so clear that it was a machine because
Right, because it didn't feel like him.
yeah, because she knows what
That's
he is as his baseline humanness,
yes.
and then this apology was so constructed, and then it made her laugh that she gave him like, it was just like, "This is"
She's like, "Honey,
yeah,
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 I
like,
swear, Daddy,
like,
you
"You don't do that.
yeah, no, yeah,
Don't apologize.
just
Just
say I'm
apologize."
sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just a simple I'm
Right,
sorry.
right.
But it's also like what social media has. It's like, how do you look? This, and now how do you speak?
Right. Yeah,
And who are you?
right.
And how do you sound? Like all these, the apps of yeah, the words to use is
Mhm,
speaking. There's one thing I really believe in language. I
mhm,
believe in language and a vibration.
mhm.
I believe in, the Japanese scientists who would write love on
Right, on
water,
water. Mm.
and just under it is science. Words are vibrations. We
Yes,
are
yes,
vibrational living.
yes, yes.
And it's really about that. It's AI vibrational.
Mhm. No.
Is the machine
Right,
vibrational? No.
right.
And yet we're giving over our power. And the most beautiful thing is our five senses, in 3D and experience the earth. And here we are and I've done these, going into these cyber worlds. And I mean, you go to Tokyo and it's crazy and it's wild and it's like a game and it's the Matrix.
Mhm.
I mean, look at art mirroring life now, all the films that have come out. And yeah, we've been prepped for it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, and it's an unknown.
yeah.
It's an unknown. So what's your takeaway now? I mean, where are you at with it?
Well, I think that just being in front of it and
Mhm,
understanding what it is
mhm.
and understanding all the acronyms, because if you don't know, then how can you train it, right? So similar to like let's say training a dog or training, a pet, like you
Right,
really need to understand what who or what you're really doing and being
right.
ahead of the curve, more so than just simply just prompting. Yeah, so that's why I went to Stanford to take that class just so I could just get information.
Great, great class. And it's true, is knowing the information
Yeah,
instead of fearing it.
yeah,
It's gaining all the, resources that you can on it. And also, it's really coming so fast that jobs are being put out. So, where are we going as Homo sapiens? Where are we going? What are we doing for work? Yes, it makes it easier in one sense that you can cut your day or it can build a website 10 minutes
yeah,
and all of that. What are we doing as humans in connecting? Where are we leading? Where do you feel that
yeah,
is in place? Like, we're not going to send AI out to the farmers
right,
who, are out in the fields picking yet, unless the robots come,
right.
which they are coming. Wait, we
Yeah,
talked there.
so
That
one of
it's
my
just,
professors at Stanford basically had the question out to the class and said, back in the 1800s, how many people were in farming? And people were like, 90%. And how many percentage of people are in farming now? What do you think?
is it down to like 30?
1%. 1%, right? Of all the humans. And so you can
1%.
1%.
So it's all the machinery. Yeah, taking over.
1%. And so that's going to be the same thing, of that's how fast it's going to be. That's just less than a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, that's really.
And take a look at back then, did they have equinox? Did they have gyms? They didn't. Why do you
No,
think that they didn't have gyms?
they were working in the field.
Right. So back then in the 1800s, no one would be able to predict a gym,
Yeah,
right? Like that, this is now what people do on their free time to work out because they don't do it naturally as part of their work.
right.
So that's how AI is going to be like. We can't even imagine because our level of consciousness is not there yet because we can't even see that far. So if you know that you can't see that far, just know that this change is big and it's coming fast, like you
It's
said.
coming really fast. Will we be living on other planets?
Yeah, probably. That's probably why Elon Musk is
Yeah.
preparing. Yeah, yeah,
I think about it because as a child, I used to just look at. I was kind of fascinated with Star Trek.
yeah,
It's like, do I want to go to that planet?
yeah,
Like, why would we want to go to that planet? But then I was always like, but there's people out there. We can't be alone. As a kid, I'd be like just in my mind going, wait a minute, there's got to be other beings around this. We know so little.
yeah,
We really know so little.
yeah,
And, what around in this lifetime at least,
yeah.
how fast it's moving. In the short, I mean, when did AI come out?
Well, it's been in the works,
It's
for
been like a bit more
recently, like
institutionalized, but
3 years.
not,
Yeah,
yeah,
and how
very,
fast that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like social
Yeah.
media.
Anyway,
Wow, crazy times.
maybe we'll talk again in like
Yes.
3 years when superintelligence is here. And anyway, I have a question for you
What's
from
the question?
Where Do I Begin? Where do we begin from Esther Perel? And I'm going
Oh,
to pick one of these questions.
okay.
Share something from your teenage point of view.
Share something from my teenage point of view. My teenage point of view was the wonders of the world. I always just, as a teenager, positive, open, wanted to see the world, wanted to travel the world. I actually would daydream at school, looking out the window, just what is out there in life. So keeping the childlike and so now forward, it's actually a great question because I was talking about this last week with a girlfriend, not losing that
Yeah.
wonder, not losing that magic of innocence and looking, waking up with again innocent eyes, even though you've had these experiences and being and going back. So yes,
Oh,
the
perfect
wonder.
for the Wonder Podcast.
Oh yes, I
You didn't
forget.
plan that.
I didn't plan
Amazing.
that.
Thank you so much for being part of the podcast. And I just wanted to just ask you, like, there are a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs that are listening.
Mhm.
What advice would you leave them with?
I would leave them with, if you have a spark in you of an idea that you fall in love with, go for it. You may not see you don't look for the end, just be open to the journey and don't give up. Persevere. There'll be roadblocks, there'll be pivots, there'll be like, I give up, self doubt. However, you need to believe in it yourself and have that energy and that focus and just know and work with the universe. Ask
Mm.
for signs. Say sign, okay, I'm gonna pivot here. And you'll be led. You'll be led when you're fully connected, with your heart, mind, spirit, and the universe. So that's what I would say to a fresh entrepreneur
Mm.
who's excited, and what's the purpose too? Really, what is that purpose of that idea? Is it from your own need? I like to focus on with entrepreneurs. Ask, do you need this? What's your intention behind it? Is it to make $1 billion? Is it to help someone? And does it align with you?
Yeah, what a good question. That's so wonderful.
Yes, it is. Guess what? We've got
All
pulled
right,
wax
now, all
here.
right.
So
Okay.
we're going to do a smokeless snuff.
Okay. So show us how to do that.
So I could classically smoke this. I could show you, and the emissions go up, and we can light it again,
Mhm.
and I can show you smokeless snuff. Shall we do that?
Okay.
So this is our classic dome snuffer. Can we see the smoke?
Yeah, the smoke is coming out.
So ultimately, you don't want those emissions in your home,
Right.
right?
Right.
So we light it again. But it's also fun to snuff. And by the way, there's a little trivia on snuffing. It's from ancient times, actually. And you'll see it like in horror films, scary films, when the candle goes to blow, the wind takes the candle out, the flame out. Or when you blow out a candle, they say the metaphysical world opens up. So good and evil spirits can come in.
Had no idea.
Yes, this is so.
Gave me goosebumps.
Yes. So always, always. And if you are somewhere and you need to blow out a candle, like birthday, if you know the intention, it's a birthday wish. You're blowing out the candles. So you're making an intention and a wish. And that action actually is sending it into the universe, the metaphysical level of a positive wish. But if you're just blowing out a candle,
Just, yeah.
right,
Right.
you're busy, you don't know what you're allowing in your energetic space. So the snuffing, I always like to snuff with the blessing, and I'll just say a silent one. I'll say love.
Mhm.
That's just an easy
Mhm.
go-to. And so if you have to blow out without snuffing, then you just make sure you say a positive intention.
So now you're lighting the candle.
Oh, yeah. And saying, bringing peace into the world. That's one. You end up, they're like just becoming natural, little rituals of,
I'm going to do that from now on.
yes. So now this is going to be a smokeless snuff. So you take the tip of the spoon, it's white spoon, the white edge is great, and then you have to go very quickly into the wax. Usually the wax should be here a little bigger, but I think it's deep enough, and you go boom.
Just
So
for 2 seconds or?
no smoke.
Okay.
Boom.
Wow.
And
That's
then,
it. Yeah.
and that's
So
your
smart.
smokeless snuff.
And then do you cut it then after
I
this?
just left it. You don't have to do it that fast. I mean, you don't have to do it that long. So you have the wax on there, which then, here's another trick. So usually you don't have that much, but we can do the wall. I get so excited about all this. The wall. Yes. So when you say tunneling, that's one thing we didn't do. Rebalance your wax levels.
Yeah.
Love. I said love. And I did that.
Okay.
So the wall of your vessel, you see this is tunneling.
Yes, it's tunneling.
And
A little higher. There we go.
yeah, you see that the tunneling on the vessel? So as you burn, if you don't trim the wick, even if you do trim the wick, this is actually going to start tunneling. And you're going to find yourself that the burn goes down, and then you have a wall of on the vessel of wax. So an easy way, and this was burning. So usually when you let it burn for about an hour, but you see how you scrape the wall? This hasn't been burning that long, but you see how you can take
The edges.
the edges of the wax, and then you put it back into, usually your pool will be bigger, and it'll melt right back in. And you can also, so instead of, you see how you can drip the wax off the spoon with the flame, so you don't put the flame out. Like that. So this is a super, it's just, again,
It's an amazing tool.
It just gives you a pause and meditation of breathing and allowing. So you clean the spoon, and then you can go back. I could do more. I can actually balance this, which will take, see, boop, boop, boop. This is going to go back into the pool of wax, and it's going to, when you put out the candle, it's going to re-level to a balance. So there you've saved perhaps an hour. But you're not going to all the way to the bottom. You can do, it's kind of like it's very meditative for me. I hear that a lot. People are like, oh my gosh, I just love rebalancing the wax. And saving, because, so many people are like, I have that tunneling candle and it just sits there and I don't know what to do with it. and you don't want to throw it out because it was a gift or you spent so much money on it, so it just sits there forever and it collects dust.
Yeah.
And yeah, you want to use your candle. That's why you bought it, and you want it to have its maximum burn hours. There you go. You
Wow,
see how
there
that
you
just came
go.
off?
It's beautiful.
So we're going to just let that burn so it can
Okay,
balance.
nice.
So I'm going to let you do
Thank you
that.
so much.
You're
Oh my
welcome.
gosh. Wow, thank you for fixing my
Swanding.
candle. We're swanding. It's a verb now.
It is. It
Oh,
is a verb.
oh,
It's like, happy swanding. Yeah,
so
happy
good.
swanding.
Anyway, thank you so much for
You're
joining us on
welcome,
the
Kalika.
podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It is so wonderful to see you.
Oh,
How can someone find out about your brand?
they can go to swand.com, SWAND.com. We're also on Instagram, Swand Official, and we're also on TikTok, Swand Official.
Okay, gotcha. We'll see you there then. Thank you again.
Thank
and I
you.
wish you all the success in the world for this brand as well
Thank
too.
you. Thank you.
Take care.
You too. Thanks.